Good afternoon and welcome to this regular meeting of Smiths Falls Town Council for Monday, June 17th. We have regrets from Councillor Allen this afternoon. We expect Councillor Dwyer will be here shortly. A couple of announcements myself. Just want to highlight, I guess it's certainly not news, everyone in the community is well aware of Brooke Henderson's big victory yesterday at the Meyer LPGA Classic, which put her into 9 career victories, so the number 1 Canadian in tour victories in the LPGA or the PGA, surpassing George Knudsen, Mike Weir, and Sandra Post. So incredible achievement. Yeah, I think there's a round of applause. So if we go back just a few years ago, she was a number 1 ranked amateur. We all remember when she was really getting started in her career, seeing some success, some achievement. Turned pro December of 2014. And let's not forget, she won't be 22 until this September 10th. So 9 career victories at the tender age of 21 from her first one, which was the Cambia Portland Classic in 2015. She's had 7 top 10 finishes so far in 2019. And certainly the support of her family, Dave, Darlene, and Brittany, who certainly are with her. Brittany every step of the way, and Dave and Darlene at most tournaments. So again, just great success and great to see her shining so well on the world stage. And a couple of other announcements. This Sunday at 1:30 p.m., the Memorial Community Center is the 37th Annual Recreation Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Everyone is invited to attend. This year's inductees include Dave Pinkerton, Roy Alexander, Greg Earl, 2009-2010 Smiths Falls Cubs Midget B team, and the Smiths Falls Tennis Club. So again, if you have some time on Sunday afternoon at 1:30, Memorial Community Center, our Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And there was some sort of concern, I guess, over the winter that Movies Under the Stars would not be continuing. But there is a park party starting June 27th, which will kick off this season's Movies Under the Stars in Centennial Park. So those who aren't aware, Together Smiths Falls donated all of the movie projection and concession equipment, everything to the town. And through the help of some volunteers, that will be launched. I think there's going to be 11 movies this season. So the grand opening will be 7 p.m. Centennial Park for this season's Movies Under the Stars. And bring the kids, and of course, your bathing suit, and you try the new inflatables out in the basin. The water warms up a little bit. And that's it for my announcements. I'll ask for disclosure of monetary interest. Hearing none. We have a delegation this evening. Welcome to Greg Potvin and Rick Ilfillin from the Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes ATV clubs, respectively. Please join us at the podium.
My name is Greg Potvin.
Greg, there's a button there to turn the mic on, if you don't mind, please. Thank you.
My name is Greg Potvin. I'm from Thousand Islands ATV Club. I'm here to speak on behalf of us and the OFATV. We're lucky tonight. We have the Vice President of the Ontario Federation and this is Mike Chicoine and Mike Starr, who is the alternate director. So they can really help with the questions if you do have any. And of course, you know Rick. So a short time, so I'll get right to it. Where are we? Sorry. Okay, so the OFATV is an umbrella organization that is dedicated to helping develop ATV clubs across the province. We are all volunteers who enjoy riding all-terrain vehicles for sport. We are similar to the OFSC in the respect that we believe in a single-path riding system. The OFATV is a not-for-profit, volunteer-driven association that, along with support staff, provides resources to our members' clubs so that together we are able to strengthen the public's perception and the position that our clubs strive to provide responsible, safe, legal, and environmentally friendly trails for riding in all-terrain vehicles in the province of Ontario. We represent the best interests of the ATV enthusiasts in Ontario, promote and assist in club development, educate the public and our members on the value of safe and responsible ATV trails in operation, promote strong-term partnerships with landowners, communities, and other organizations. We are here to help develop an organized provincial trail system with rules and guidelines in place that ensure the safety and enjoyment of ATV riders and their communities. We would like to ask for a temporary trail through the town of Smith Falls until a more permanent solution could be determined. We would like a 2-year trial period starting this summer. With this connection, we will be able to connect multiple clubs throughout Ontario and bring us to the OVRT. And we're to bring responsible riders to boost tourism in your town. And this is a suggested possible route, which is less than 1.5 kilometers of road. Most of you may be familiar with this suggested route. We'd like to propose a temporary trail entering from Rideau Lakes ATV Club, which is the green line, we have permission to the Cataraqui Town, Rideau Lakes private trail proceeding onto the portion of the Cataraqui Trail that Smith Falls owns. We would then turn towards Ferreira Drive and follow that to Abbott Street. We would like to have access to Ferguson Drive and Alfred Street for amenities, which is very important for the town and us as well. We then would like to proceed down Abbott until we clear the canal. We would like to take the path and cross the old railway bridge and continue on to the path to William Street, which we have permission in behind the hardware store and whatnot already. We would then follow William Street to Highway 43 into Lanark, where the trail would connect to the OVRT. This is an extremely important connection for Thousand Islands ATV Club, Rideau Lakes ATV Club, and the Ontario Federation ATVs. This would connect a possible of 8 OFATV clubs by the end of summer, and possibly 9. This would make this trail the largest continuous ATV trail in Ontario, the heart of which would be Smith Falls. It would be great for tourism in Ontario, as well as the town of Smith Falls. Making economic sense. In 2014, we hosted an OFATV AGM in Gananoque, Ontario. The 3-day total of hotel rooms, boardrooms, catering, and community activities, example, a boat cruise dinner, was $15,080. This in one weekend, and that doesn't include the amenities purchased by the attendees. In 2015, Ontario residents spent $974 million on activities directly involved in the operation of all-terrain vehicles and side-by-sides. The average visitor spends $116 per day, or $178 if it's overnight. ATVing is a 3 or 4 season activity depending on the winter months, and it will increase the off-season tourism. OFATV is the largest organized group in Ontario. For trail insurance, we have $15 million coverage for registered landowners, OFATV, and the member ATV club at no direct cost to landowners, clubs, and affiliated groups or communities. We provide landowners with third-party coverage, and proper insurance is needed to buy a pass for each ATV out there. So we make sure they have insurance before they purchase the pass. Trail signage. Our trail signage program was approved in 2003 and follows the standard signs like the OFSC use and whatnot. I just brought an example of what Ottawa did for their signage through the town. So it's actually a really nice sign, little Ottawa symbol and whatnot, which is, promotes them and promotes us at the same time. Road access requires a municipality or county bylaw for now. ATV operator requires a license, therefore they must be 16 years of age and older and hold a G2 or an M minimum class license to ride on the road. OFATV trail access use between 12 and 16 must be supervised by a licensed person and cannot drive across or on a roadway to a connecting trail. So they have to have a license to be on that road. It's just like the Traffic Act. If they don't, they get pulled over, they pay the consequences. And we promote not doing it at all. You know, like we really push that too. We strongly encourage and promote environmental awareness and protection. Four-stroke technology equals low vehicle emissions as well as decreased noise level. We have a minimum of 50 kilometers per hour and 20 kilometers an hour where it's posted is 50 kilometers or less. Municipalities have the ability to place laws to limit the hours of use. If you're going to do that, try to maybe pick a time like, 9:30, 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, that way it's the same all the time. But you can do dusk to dawn. We have people that do that, which is another good way to do it. The OFATV members clubs have charity rides in their communities to help improve public awareness. This shows the general public as well as the local governments that organize clubs promote responsible ATV activities. In 5 years, Nation Valley raised $300,000 for Ride for Dad. I do believe it's the largest amount that an ATV club has ever raised. Also, when they have their rides, you can't get a hotel room in that town, like in the area. So it really fills up fast. Many of the OFATV clubs have partnered with their local enforcement agencies to help when requested for things like search and rescue, wildlife emergencies, or just out for the day on the trails checking membership stickers, licenses, registration, and insurance. OFATV club trail wardens and members are ready to assist when needed with skills of first aid, CPR, and AED. What we have to offer the town of Smith Falls. We offer a safe and responsible trail system. We offer increased revenue with fundraisers and local meetings. We can host general meetings up to 100 people from as far away as Niagara Falls every year, usually 3 days long, and that's what I talked about earlier. Training for youth riders in safety and driving skills, and community awareness of ATV riding, and much more. So I thank you, and I think, Rick? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Greg.
Well, I don't have a whole lot more to say other than maybe a quick summary, because Greg pretty much said most of it, and I would just be repeating myself from last week. So, we've asked for a 2-year interim trial. Totally want to sit on the board or the committee for the strategic plan, 100%. And maybe ask Mike or one of the other executives from OFATV to bring their expertise with us for that strategic plan. We understand that strategic plan could take some time, and that's why we're asking for the trial or the temporary usage. You could be looking at maybe the end of next year or the year after if you want to implement a trail by then, if you have to build a road or a bridge or anything like that, whatever the outcome is of that strategic plan. We just want to get it up and going, see if it's going to work. If it doesn't work, you have the option to end it. And but I don't think it's going to be, once we get through the hurdles of the moaning and groaning of it being new and people seeing ATVs on the road, I don't think it's going to be an issue. With the houses and new development over there, we're in no way going to interfere with the development of any of those new buildings or houses or anything like that. They're going to have the skidoos running up and down there all winter long as well anyway, and a skidoo in my eyes is a little bit louder than an ATV anyway. The 400 meters on the Cat Trail, what I would propose to doing there is moving the broken gate that the Snowmobile Club or the town put in for the Snowmobile Club a few years ago, pulling it out of the ground and moving it out the 400 meters to the edge of the Parkview Homes property where we're going to go up into our trails and blocking it off there rather than at Frere Drive where it turns to come out Frere Drive, and we'll cover that expense. We'll do it, we'll put it in, and That way, the people who are walking out there with their dogs and that can know that once they reach that point, there'll be no ATVs after that. Other than that, there's not a whole lot more that I can tell you, other than when the insurance comes in, it's going to be, I can get the certificate every year, put in, because it's renewed every year, put in the town's name, and the town would get a copy of it for sure.
Okay, thanks, Rick. At this point, I'll open up to council for questions or comments. Who's first? Councilor McKenna?
Thanks. Could we talk a little bit about the volume of ATVs going through? What's happening with the industry in Ontario? Is it, and membership, is it a slow trend? Have you leveled off, or?
We had 24 members going into this year, 25 members. We're at 66 members now because of the OVRT. Ottawa Valley has noticed a growth in membership as well. And a lot of that stems from because Lanark County has posted on that trail, you must be a member to ride your ATV on that trail. So now everybody that lives along the trail or near the trail who wants to ride on it, they have to have a pass. So they buy the OF ATV pass. So that goes directly back into the club. So a portion of that money goes to the club, yeah, and then the other portion goes to trail maintenance. So
for the sport though in Ontario, is it going up? Is it leveled off?
Probably be a better answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah, what we've seen is last year for the first year.
Just go on up to the.
So, yeah.
They want to record you.
Sorry, last year for the first year, the Canadian Off-Highway Vehicle Distributors Council reported that for the first time, ATV sales have actually gone down. They didn't experience the same growth that they have previously. Side-by-side sales are still very strong. So the trend that we're seeing is that it kind of looks like the sales that had been skyrocketing over the years has kind of tapered off. But we're seeing growth in membership of the sport. The OFATV grew in membership by about 20% last year, which shows that there's more people wanting to be part of an organized trail system and be part of a system similar to what OFSC has, rather than just using them on farms and rebel riding, that kind of stuff. So we're seeing sales tapering off, but the buy-in for organized trail systems still growing strong.
So if I could have one more.
Sure.
Just there's I won't call it a bottleneck. There's a Smiths Falls is kind of a bit of a glue, a missing link in the 8 or 9 clubs. And yes. So are we going to see, like, because of that, if it's a regular trail, you just see regular folks going, but now that you've got clubs coming in from all over, they have to pass through here. Do you have a sense of what the volume is? What could we expect to see?
Yeah, it's hard to say. People want to ride at destination locations where there's a complex trail system that Smiths Falls doesn't have. Smiths Falls is more of a connector between places like that. So we see people heading from areas like Nation Valley, like Kempville, Winchester area, from Thousand Islands, Gananoque, Lansdowne area, heading up to developed trail systems like Renfrew County and even VMUTs up in Mattawa. That's where the areas where you can really spend a day or two riding a very elaborate trail system. The OVRT obviously it's not an interesting trail to ride. People are going to ride it to connect multiple other trail systems. Think of it kind of like the highway that passes through, right? So if the OVRT is our highway for ATVs, Smiths Falls is the only en route where you can get off and purchase fuel and food and hotels and that kind of stuff. So I think you're going to see a lot of kind of transient riding of people riding through and stopping in briefly on their way through, but not I mean, that trail system to stay for multiple days doesn't exist here. So on an average weekend, that volume likely isn't that big. You're maybe 50 ATVs over a weekend, something like that, based on what we see in connecting routes for other trail systems.
And you track that if it was a 2-year pilot, we would track that. You'd know how many people actually came through in some way of knowing that? It's
very difficult to do that.
Okay.
Because nobody has to register, like there's no flight plans for people using ATVs or anything. It's very difficult to judge how many people are passing through a particular area. But what some of the clubs have done to try to get an idea of that is to set up a trail cam like you would use for hunting. And it just, as people pass by, you can kind of just count 1, 2, 3. Okay, we had 20 people through this weekend, and it's not scientific, but it gives you a rough number. I'm sure Rick would be willing to do something like that to formulate a best guess.
Further questions or comments? Councilor McGuire?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have 3 questions for the group. The first is the $974 million is a really impressive number. Can you give us some information behind how that's accumulated?
It's on Mike's.
Yeah, a lot of that is fuel and food, to be quite honest. ATVers spend the most money on fuel and food. People think, well, you know, an ATV, $20 you ride for the day and stuff like that, but in a lot of cases, it's trucks with trailers, that kind of stuff that are filling up. A common practice for a lot of ATVers that go out as a group is, hey, let's meet for breakfast, and then we'll fuel up and we'll go ride for the day, and we'll come back and have dinner, and then we'll load up and head home from there, that kind of stuff. So those expenses accumulate. There's not a whole lot of overnight visits currently, because our trail systems are having challenges like here, to be honest, trying to connect to do those large multi-day routes and planning and stuff like that. But in some areas, you can get multiple 2 or 3 days riding out of the system that's there, so the amenities do very well. Mattawa is a great example of that. So that was a study that's actually outdated numbers. That was from, I think that one was a 2016 study. There was a 2012 study and a 2016 study. Since then, the numbers have dramatically increased, we suspect, but we're going to commission another study to try to get more accurate data in either 2020 or 2021.
Great. And that study was conducted by the OFATV, or?
No, that was done by the COHV, the Canadian Off-Highway Vehicles Distributor Council, in conjunction with CQC, which is the Canadian ATV Association.
And the number wouldn't include the cost of the ATV or the trailer or that kind of stuff?
No. That's sort of the daily spending on riding, not necessarily the procurement of the things that you need to ride.
Okay, great. My second question is, what's the advantage of going down for a drive instead of cutting over to Lombard and getting to Abbott that way?
The reason we didn't go across Lombard, behind Walmart, Parks Canada, and the motel over there, Best Western, is because the land is so marshy. And we had to have, what we do have on the private sector is already approved by Rio Valley Conservation Authority, and it was a challenge with them. But they were, as long as we don't change nothing or build on it or do any road work or anything like that, we're fine. But as soon as we start doing work on it, other than trimming trees and stuff, and even filling the land in or anything, we have to have permits because of the environmental impact.
Fair enough. Is there an option to go on Lombard Street itself, or is that?
No, with the MTO regulations, when they come out with the legislation to allow ATVs on the road, I think it was back in 2003, Highway 15 was not a highway that was marked or linked. There's certain ones they're absolutely not allowed on, and we did some research. I don't think Mike come back with Highway 15, but it doesn't show whether you can or can't go on it, but it's a King's Highway, and most King's Highways you're not allowed on. So I'm assuming with the volume of traffic, I wouldn't want to ride on Lombard Street anyway, because we're putting the ATV riders at risk with all that volume. Because most of your traffic is on Lombard Street. So when we come across Abbott Street, you might get 2 or 3 cars down it when an ATV's crossing. Like, I've crossed it lots of times just to map the route and stuff, and you might see 1 or 2 cars on it an hour. You know, I'm just guessing, but I don't. Troy would probably know the statistics with that. But it's just lower volume. And when we're crossing at the lights at Lombard Street on Abbott, all your high volume is still sitting on Lombard Street at a stop. So that allows us the time to go the 200 meters from the lights to the driveway when there's no traffic going out. Coming back is going to be a little bit more of a challenge, and I've done it. But even if there is a high volume of traffic there, they're pretty much stopped as well, waiting on the lights to change. And when the lights does change, most drivers are courteous. They'll wave you out and let you go in front of them. But if not, you sit and wait until you have your opening and go as a normal vehicle would.
Do you, I guess, yeah, coming back is more difficult, because if you've got the ATVs wanting to go straight and everybody else is trying to turn right, that's an issue that might come up with the redevelopment of that intersection.
Yeah.
How many decibels is an ATV compared to a car?
I think the decibel on the exhaust for Ontario was 94 decibels. You're talking about the sound?
Yeah.
I believe it has to be under 94.
Okay. And any idea how that compares to normal traffic?
I have no idea. I know the 94 decibel is is a health rating as well for other equipment and stuff too. But an ATV it's normally not near as bad as a motorcycle or anything else. Like these little Honda cars with the big exhaust and the trucks with the big exhaust are louder than an ATV, and they're on the road every day as well.
One of the things that a lot of municipalities have done for noise concerns is that they've specified in their bylaw that you can't modify your exhaust. You have to have stock exhaust systems. So the manufacturers have a 94 decibel rating that they have to adhere to. So that prevents the situations like with motorcycles where you can get a stock street bike that's quite quiet, but then a Harley rolls down the street and it's significantly more noisy. It kind of prevents that from happening. They could be fined for having excessive noise.
I know in Merricksville Wolford has their bylaw, and you're not allowed on the main street in Merricksville. You can ride through Merricksville, but you can't stop for gas or food. Johnstown, the local ATV club in that area, is going back to council because that's an outdated bylaw, like an older bylaw. So they're trying to change that now. But I know in Merricksville, the bylaw in Merricksville, if the Harley goes down main drag Merricksville, they get ticketed. The bylaw's down there, and they pull the Harley or the motorcycle over if it's too loud on the main street, and they ticket them.
Last question is about the old railway bridge. That's a popular pedestrian spot, especially at sunset. Would designating it a trail mean that we'd have to limit access to other users?
Absolutely not. The portion of the town trail that we lease that land off Parks Canada now. Parks Canada own that. I've leased it for 3 years now because I went ahead and did my portion of the trail work before the town. So we've been paying Parks Canada for a land lease agreement on that property. We would make the portion of trail right from where we get on the Cat Trail all the way to the OVRT. We would make that multi-use for the town. We have the option to make that multi-use because it is our trail at Rideau Lakes ATV Club Trail. And I wouldn't see any problem with that, having that trail multi-use.
Okay, so if that trail was multi-use, would there be, would the ATV club be able to make it a little safer for pedestrians just with the gap between the rail ties and the wall?
It's already boarded.
You could fall through between the wall and where the.
Yeah, I probably
base
wouldn't
ends.
be able to change any of that.
Okay.
That would be something that I would have to take back to Parks Canada.
Okay.
I don't know for sure. I would have to look into it.
Okay, I'm just thinking with the
But I
ATV
know,
going by and people wanting to
the
get
Skidoo
up
Club a
tight.
few years ago, they went ahead and laid 6 or 2x6s across most of the decking.
Yeah.
So that it's pretty easy to walk across, and I see people up there walking across all the time anyway. But we have to educate the public and the riders, the ATV riders as well, and most ATV riders are pretty good anyway. But from what I've seen, but the public just has to be aware that they have to be courteous to the other people using the trail as well. Like we have to share it, we have to all get along, but it's never been that way. So it's something new to them, and we just have to educate everybody, and everybody has to try and get along. We have to all live in the same community, so.
Great, all right, thanks a lot for all your answers.
A couple of questions myself, guys. One, recent changes by the province, and we're not that informed on that yet, but you probably have some insight that
Yeah.
reliable here.
As soon as that was released, we got in contact at a provincial level with our contacts with MTO to find out exactly what was going to happen with that. Our understanding of it currently is that the act allows the legislation to be written, but nothing actually comes into effect until specifically the Off-Road Vehicles Act and the Highway Traffic Act are amended with changes. So they're expecting 1.5 to 2.5 years before those changes come into play. They very specifically don't want to rush those changes because the way that this new act changes things is currently the Highway Traffic Act identifies the rules of using an ATV on the road, but leaves it up to the municipalities to enact those by bylaw. So in the absence of a bylaw, there's no access to a road on an ATV. Snowmobiles have been the opposite since the 80s. This change makes ATVs more like the snowmobile, where municipalities will have to enact a bylaw to restrict access, otherwise it's assumed to be granted. Not necessarily a great change for us or the municipalities. It really benefits ATV riders that are not part of an organized system and stuff like that. So MTO is not rushing to make their amendments because they want all the municipalities have an opportunity to address this ahead of time. Otherwise, it could become legal to start riding your ATV down residential roads in downtown Toronto, which wouldn't make any sense to anybody, right? So we're encouraging all of our clubs, and I know Rick and Greg are both very much on board on this, to work with their local municipalities and figure out a right fit solution for everybody, so that nobody's surprised 2 years from now when that legislation does do that fundamental flip.
Great, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Okay, thanks, gentlemen. Okay, adoption of minutes. We have Councillor Brennan, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor McGuire, that the minutes of the June 3rd, 2019 council meeting be approved as circulated.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor McGuire, that the minutes of the June 3rd council meeting, June 3rd, 2019 council meeting be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. So we have reports next, and I'm just going to jump ahead because I missed one item with my announcements earlier. I was going to go to the podium to get that. So Smiths Falls is one of the rare communities that has student counselors as part of our Around the Horseshoe, and they're here to provide insight and advice, and also for their own personal development and growth, the opportunity to be part of a council. And so Colton and Rory joined us partway through this year because of the new term of council. So it was a little bit shorter than we would like to see, but of course we'll be looking again come this fall for new student counselors. So hopefully the two of you will consider coming back. But just to thank you and recognize you for your contribution to the community, I just want to make a small presentation. So Rory, you want to come up first? So just a little certificate of appreciation and some reading material, a couple other things. So congratulations and thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your insights, your wisdom, and thank you. Okay, back to reports. I'll start with Councillor McKenna.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to mention, as one of the representatives on County Council Corporate Services Committee and Social Services Committee, and with the recent plethora of announcements from the provincial government on changes to regulation, which we've just heard one of them tonight, there's a lot of things are in flux, but it looks like the costs to the local government are going up, and the provincial government is offloading some of those costs through many changes. And we're starting to get a sense of what's happening. We still have more information to come, but everything from so we participate with the county in the cost sharing on land ambulance, public health unit, social services, Lanark Lodge, and social housing, and all of those areas are in flux. Some of them may work out to be revenue neutral when the change is done, but at Lanark Lodge, we learned last week that next year they're anticipating about a 25 or 26% increase in the cost to the local county government. That may or may not, and we contribute about $250,000, the town of Smiths Falls, to the operation of Lanark Lodge, and that's done through a formula on how many people are using it, and so it may not be 25%, but it could be as high as that. So very significant implications for us going forward for next year. Some of those costs we're going to come in this year, but it looks like they're going to be deferred till next year. So we're going to keep a really close eye on that. The county's expecting to, they're really taking a hard look, and they're going to have some information for council, county council, and the municipal councils probably in July on what the impact that those changes are going to have on our local municipalities. So as we plan next year's budget, this is something that it's the suddenness of it and maybe the volume of those costs that we're going to have to pay really close attention to. So I wanted to make council and our community aware of that. Significant changes.
Great, thank you. Councillor Alford?
Not really a report, but on the committees that I currently sit on, I'll save that for another night, but I did have I took your place as you were busy and met with the Minister of Rural Economic Development for Canada, Bernadette Jordan, at Canopy at Tweed, to show her, introduce her to that business and to talk to her about the trickle-down effect that it has had in Smiths Falls. Like so many people that have visited that certainly politicians or policymakers, people who are interested in our experience here in Smiths Falls, because what's happening here in Smiths Falls because of Tweed and Canopy growth is they see that if they could somehow replicate our experience, that would bring them an economic boom like we are experiencing. So it's just interesting to see and talk to people who actually probably didn't even know where Smiths Falls was even 2 years ago. And now they are literally, it feels some days like they're literally flocking here from everywhere to see and absorb what's happening here. And so it makes you very proud of our town and of grateful on one level to Canopy Growth for the innovation and belief they showed in Smiths Falls. But it also lets you see things through another lens when you speak with these people. So I just wanted to share that. That was an interesting experience. Thank you for being busy that day so that I could have it.
No problem. Student Councillor Bullock, anything you'd like to say? No? Student Councillor Kelford? No? Okay. Councillor McGuire? Boy, we're going quick tonight. Councillor Brennan?
Yeah, I have a report. I just wanted to highlight an event that took place on last Saturday, June 8th. It was the dedication of at Evergreen Avenue, and I want to thank my fellow committee members, Dick Donaldson, Peter Owl, Bill Woodmeyer, Ken Graham, Keith Anderson, and Nina Drab. And I want to thank my friend and colleague beside me, Councillor McGuire, for acting for the mayor as a master of ceremonies. He did a great job. It was a beautiful, beautiful day, and the significance of the presentations was apparent. And I know Councillor Alfred did one, or her sister did, and Councillor McKenna was there as well. And there was a couple of environmental awards given through Real that day as well. And each one of the people that received, whether it was an environmental award or had sponsored a stone for a family member along the pathway, told a story, and they were all different stories about Smiths Falls. And I think that in the future we've got more work to do to bring some relevance of the pathway, i.e. through a interactive experience that maybe people can have and download the stories that are there, because they're very significant. And we're appreciative of our partnership with the Legion on it too. So it was a great day, and I think the next year it'll be early June. So I would encourage everyone to come. But I want to also thank Parks and Rec and the town for their support in terms of bringing the chairs over and maintaining the park for us. So I just wanted to report on that. It was in the paper, so I'm sure everyone read it, but thanks are due to a lot of people for it. So that's my report.
Thank you. A few reports myself, and thank you to, I guess, I probably want to run this Horseshoe, who's filled in for me from time to time over the last few months. When there's, I guess, conflicts in the schedule, it's great to know they've got great support. June 5th, I think most of you were probably there for the grand opening of Boston Pizza. It was just a great evening, and I think just another testament to, I guess, a growing community that Boston Pizza and some of your family has put confidence in this town as being a great place to open a new restaurant. On June 7th, and that's one reason why there was some coverage for me, it was in Toronto, and I was able to address, or had an opportunity to address, a group of British parliamentarians and staff at a cannabis educational conference organized by Voltface. And Voltface is a cross-party organization from the UK that informs public debate around drugs through excellence in policy, research, and advocacy, and they cultivate fresh thinking and work with an array of partners to foster engagement and formulate new evidence-based policy ideas across the world, but with focus on the UK. And of course, Councillor Alford mentioned the high level of interest in our community, not both within Canada, but also globally. And there's a number of opportunities to meet with people from across the country who come to Smiths Falls at times to tour the Canopy campus, but also the British parliamentarians who really have, the debate is ongoing over there as it is in many other countries, and the fascination with how this story is evolving in Canada, and that high level of interest in understanding how our community has been changed forever by the change in attitudes and change in legislation. So it was a good opportunity to meet them and help explain the story of the change in our community. June 12th, County Council, but Councillor McKenna hit the highlights there. And then last Thursday, June 13th, I attended the Eastern Ontario Active Transportation Summit in Long Sault. And a great opportunity to understand more about the merits of active transportation, to learn about current trends, and also to hear a lot of the success stories that are going on across the province. And this is it for my reports. We have a few bylaws this evening. The first was with Councillor Dwyer, but I guess Councillor McGuire is going to handle that, I assume?
Yes.
Thank you.
Try my best. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Brennan that a bylaw to adopt a strategic asset management policy for the town of Smiths Falls be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire, seconded by Councillor Brennan. Bylaw 10048-2019. The bylaw to adopt a strategic asset management policy for the town of Smiths Falls be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Discussion, Councillor McGuire?
This is an important policy towards our fiscal sustainability strategic planning objective. By using an asset management policy, it gives us the ability to budget for long-term things. Something like a bridge or a road doesn't, cost money every year, but if we account for it that way, then we have the money in the budget for when it's time to replace them. So hopefully this will help us eliminate our infrastructure deficit and be in a stronger fiscal position into the future.
Is there any further discussion? Third reading, please.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Brennan that a bylaw to adopt a strategic asset management policy for the town of Smiths Falls be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10,048-2019.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire, seconded by Councillor Brennan. Bylaw 10048-2019. The bylaw to adopt a strategic asset management policy for the town of Smiths Falls be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10048-2019. All in favor? Carried. Councillor McKenna, you've got the next bylaw?
A bylaw moved by myself and, seconded by Councillor Alford, that bylaw number 10049, that a bylaw to amend bylaw 8892-2016, bylaw to adopt a reserve management policy for the town of Smiths Falls be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McKenna, seconded by Councillor Alford. Bylaw 10049-2019. And a bylaw to amend bylaw 8892-2016, being a bylaw to adopt a reserve management policy for the town of Smiths Falls, be received, read a first time, and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Discussion, Councillor McKenna?
This is a modest amendment to our existing reserve management policy, which covers money that we have in reserve and interest-bearing account. And so as in the past, it hadn't included revenue that we've received from building permits. So it's accumulated in such a manner that it will now be part of our reserve management policy. And so that was the change to that bylaw.
Any further discussion? Third reading, please.
That a bylaw to amend bylaw 8892-2016, being a bylaw to adopt a reserve management policy for the town of Smiths Falls, be read, signed, sealed, and numbered 10049-2019.
Moved by Councillor McKenna, seconded by Councillor Alford. Bylaw 10049-2019. The bylaw to amend bylaw 8892-2016, being a bylaw to adopt a reserve management policy for the town of Smiths Falls, be read, signed, and sealed, and numbered 10049-2019. All in favor? Carried. Back to Councillor McGuire.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Brennan that a bylaw to regulate smoking and vaping in public places and enclosed workplaces in the town of Smith Falls be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire, seconded by Councillor Brennan. Bylaw 10050-2019, the bylaw to regulate smoking and vaping in public places and enclosed workplaces in the town of Smith Falls be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Discussion, Councillor McGuire?
This is more of a procedural bylaw to bring our rules up to date with the cannabis legalization. Cannabis and vaping and smoking will all be coordinated and allowed in the same places, so.
Restricted in the same places.
Restricted in the same places as well, yeah.
Thank you. Any further comment? Third reading, please.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Brennan that a bylaw to regulate smoking and vaping in public places, enclosed workplaces in the town of Smith Falls be read, signed, and sealed, numbered 10050-2019.
Moved by Councillor McGuire, seconded by Councillor Brennan. Bylaw 10050-2019, the bylaw to regulate smoking and vaping in public places and enclosed workplaces in the town of Smith Falls be read, signed, sealed, and numbered 10050-2019. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Alford, you've got the next miscellaneous motion.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McKenna. Whereas Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls directs staff to follow the direction provided at the March 4th, 2019 Committee of the Whole meeting, requesting that delegations respecting the Beckwith Street decision include questions to be asked of Council, and that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls direct the Clerk and Chief Administrative Officer to ensure that there is no duplication from what had already been presented on this topic, and that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls will not accept any further delegations beyond the two already received, wishing to speak on the topic of Council's decision to rescind previous Council's resolution on option A for the Beckwith Street redevelopment, or current Council's decision to adopt a complete streets model for the redevelopment of Beckwith Street. And further, that it be understood that this Council made a decision on the method of public engagement respecting the Beckwith Street redevelopment on March 4th, 2019, and that this resolution formalizes that decision.
Thank you. Discussion, Councillor Alford?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think it's fairly self-explanatory in the resolution itself. We've been discussing this around the table for several months. Decisions that had previously been made in January and then again in March. I don't think I could add anything more than what the resolution outlines.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Yes, Councillor Brennan?
May I request a recorded vote, please?
Yes, you may. Okay. It's moved by Councillor Alford, second by Councillor McKenna. Beckwith Street delegations. Whereas Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls directs staff to follow the direction provided at the March 4th, 2019 Committee of Whole meeting, requesting that delegations respecting the Beckwith Street decision include questions to be asked of Council, and that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls direct the Clerk and the Chief Administrative Officer to ensure there is no duplication from what has already been presented on this topic. And the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls will not accept any further delegations beyond the two already received, wishing to speak on the topics of Council's decision to rescind previous Council's resolution on option A for the Beckwith Street redevelopment, or current Council's decision to adopt a complete streets model for the redevelopment of Beckwith Street. And further, that it be understood that this Council made a decision on the method of public engagement respecting the Beckwith Street redevelopment on March 4th, 2019, and this resolution formalizes that decision, and a recorded vote has been requested.
With respect to the Beckwith Street delegations resolution, as read, please state yea or nay. Councillor Alford.
Yea.
Councillor Allen is absent. Councillor Brennan.
Nay.
Councillor Dwyer is absent. Councillor McGuire.
Yay.
Councillor McKenna.
Yay.
Mayor Panko.
Yay.
Carried.
Thank you, and Councillor Alford, you're back up with the next resolution.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McKenna, that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls approve option 3 as provided in report 2019-077, directing staff to include the Rideau Lakes All-Terrain Vehicle Club in the future planning for developing connectivity to regional trail networks.
Yes, discussion, Councillor Alford?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, we've, a week ago, we decided we were going to ask the Rideau Lakes ATV Club to join us in strategically mapping out how this would unfold here in Smiths Falls. And tonight, we've had got some more information from the gentlemen who have attended, and I'm sure that will become part and parcel of future consideration aside from strategic ones. I think your request has been heard, but the strategic planning goes on no matter what happens in the next few weeks. So this will include the Rideau Lakes ATV Club in that going forward.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Brennan?
Yeah, I guess I should have mentioned during the presentation, but yeah, that's right. Certainly support input from one of the most important stakeholders we have in terms of trails. But also there was a request made tonight, and I should have said it at the presentation, but I look forward to that specific request coming forward at a committee of the whole meeting in the near future, so we can have a fulsome discussion, because obviously including in the strategic plan is important. I don't know if it's going to be, this might be a little more time sensitive in terms of the request that was made tonight, so hopefully we can talk about that in the near future.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Alford, second by Councillor McKenna. Trails request by Rideau Lakes ATV. The Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smiths Falls approve option 3, in brackets as provided in Report 2019-77, directing staff to include the Rideau Lakes All-Terrain Vehicle Club in the future planning for the developing connectivity to the regional trail networks. All in favor? Carried. Up. Carried. And Councillor Brennan, you have the final resolution.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McGuire, that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smiths Falls authorize staff to proceed with requests for proposals seeking standing offers for engineering services in support of operation at the water treatment and wastewater treatment facilities, and further that the terms of any standing offers issued for civil, electrical, mechanical, and structural services be authorized for a period not exceeding 3 years, consistent with the procurement bylaw.
Thank you. Discussion, Councillor Brennan?
Mr. Barlow was here last week to discuss this with us, and it just makes sense because it gives us some surety in terms of cost management for the services that come up periodically, if not often, at those facilities in terms of engineering. So we'll have some surety for 3 years for the costs that they're going to incur.
Thank you. Any further discussion? It's moved by Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor McGuire. Request for proposal standing offer for engineering services treatment facilities. The Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smiths Falls authorized staff to proceed with a request for proposal seeking standing offers for engineering services in support of operations of the water treatment and wastewater treatment facilities, and further that the terms of any standing offers issued for civil, electrical, mechanical, and structural services be authorized for a period not exceeding 3 years, consistent with the procurement bylaw. All in favor? Carried. Inquiries or announcements? Councillor Alford?
Just to, Your Worship, I did want to, in the absence of our colleague, Councillor Allen, want to congratulate the Rise at the Falls Wellness Festival for the wonderful work that they did. The weather was not as cooperative as we will wish for in the future, but I think this all started with the Healthy Living Festival ending, and I think economic development in the bodies of Jennifer Miller and Becky Allen have picked up the torch, and I was very thrilled, and I know that my other colleagues would echo that. So thank you for all the work, and we'll look forward to that just being the first of the annual events to follow. The only other thing I have, Your Worship, is both Councillor McKenna and I attended the Upper Canada Champions for Kids breakfast. It was not a charity that I knew much about until that morning, but it was very impressive. That charity discreetly helps children who need it. So you started out as a sports thing, but now it's much bigger than a sports thing. It could be glasses, it could be gas cards for mom or dad. They discreetly decide how to help those kids. We're all aware that some are less fortunate than others in terms of material things, and that Breakfast for Champions was one of the ways that they raise funds. The other way that's coming up for them, and I want to give them a plug, is their 12th annual golf tournament, July 3rd at the Smiths Falls Golf and Country Club. You can register online at championsforkids.ucdsb.on.ca. So if you don't know anything about it, check them out. It was some of the stories were very touching, and we should all be very proud of the other students in that school, because some of this is peer-to-peer. They're helping peer-to-peer. So I really enjoyed being there, and thank you for the invitation. That's all for me.
Thank you. And that, because it's the Upper Canada District School Board, it does cover, the tournament moves around every year. So this is the first time, in my knowledge, it's been in Smiths Falls at least a number of years, and likely won't be back for a while. So it'd be great to see a full slate of players. And for the record, I think it was Cody Cece and Mark Stone's team from the Ottawa Senators who won the tournament last year. So someone can come up and try and beat the score from last year. Any further queries or announcements? And I may be off on the dates, but just wanted to say thank you to Evelyn Harford, who was here pretty much every Monday night. And I know it's your last council meeting. I'm not sure if you'll be here for next week's committee whole meeting. No, you're not. Okay. So your last evening here. We all want to wish you the best. Enjoy your new baby when he or she arrives in July. And we will see you probably a year or so down the road. And our motion for adjournment is with Councillor McKenna, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Alford, that this council adjourn its proceedings at 5:55 p.m. and stand so adjourned until the next duly called meeting of council.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McKenna, second by Councillor Alford. Adjournment. This council adjourns proceedings at... Come on, guys. I need some hands here in the air. 5:55 p.m. and stand so adjourned until the next duly called meeting of council. All in favor? Do we have enough hands? Okay, we're adjourned. Councillor Brennan, we haven't adjourned yet.
Question,
Yeah.
when are they going to have this two delegates?
I don't know. I think it's coming up though. There. Hey, Rick. Thanks, Jay. Are you from the
OFATV Vice President and District 1 Director.
Hey. No. Okay. I saw her name on a press release.